I was stuck in a cycle that felt like it had no end. Every time I tried to get up, I'd fall down again. The enemy kept laughing, said you're never getting out. But I heard a sound from heaven. God is turning things around. I couldn't see the shift at first, everything looked the same. The circumstances hadn't changed. I still carry the shame, but something in my spirit shifted, something broke inside. God is turning things around, and I don't have to hide. God is turning things around. I can feel it in the air. What was broken is now healing. What was lost is being repaired. The tables are turning, the seasons are changing right now. God is turning things around, and I'm making my vow. I won't give up 5 minutes before my miracle shows up. God is turning things around. I'm drinking from a different cup. I looked at my situation through the lens of my despair. Everything seemed hopeless, like nobody even cared. But then I opened up my Bible to the story of a man who had been waiting at a pool for longer than he planned. And Jesus showed up on a random day and said, get up and walk. And just like that, 38 years of waiting turned to talk. If God can do it for him, then he can do it for me too. God is turning things around. I'm standing in the breakthrough. The same God who turned the water into wine at a wedding feast is the same God who turns my mourning into dancing, my war into peace. He turns captivity into freedom, turns my midnight into dawn. God is turning things around, and I'm singing a new song. So I praise him in the middle of the mess I cannot see, because the God who turns things around is turning it for me. God is turning things around. Watch and see. God is turning things around. He set me free. God is turning things around. I'm not the same. God is turning things around. I'll never be the same again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was stuck in a cycle that felt like it had no end. Every time I tried to get up, I'd fall down again. The enemy kept laughing, said you're never getting out. But I heard a sound from heaven. God is turning things around. I couldn't see the shift at first, everything looked the same. The circumstances hadn't changed. I still carried the shame, but something in my spirit shifted, something broke inside. God is turning things around, and I don't have to hide. God is turning things around. I can feel it in the air. What was broken is now healing. What was lost is being repaired. The tables are turning, the seasons are changing right now. God is turning things around, and I'm making my vow. I won't give up 5 minutes before my miracle shows up. God is turning things around. looking from a different cut. I looked at my situation through the lens of my despair. Everything seemed hopeless, like nobody even cared. But then I opened up my Bible to the story of a man who had been waiting at a pool for longer than he planned. And Jesus showed up on a random day and said, get up and walk. And just like that, 38 years of waiting turned to talk. If God can do it for him, then he can do it for me too. God is turning things around. I'm standing in a breakthrough. The same God who turned the water into wine at a wedding feast is the same God who turns my mourning into dancing, my war into peace. He turns captivity into freedom, turns my midnight into dawn. God is turning things around, and I'm singing a new song. So I'll praise him in the middle of the mess I cannot see, because the God who turns things around is turning it for me. God is turning things around. Watch and see, watch and see. God is turning things around. He's setting me free. God is turning things around. I'm not the same, babe. God is turning things around. I'll never be the same again. I've been waiting in the valley for what felt like way too long, singing the same sad song, trying to stay strong. Every morning looked the same, gray skies, no change in sight. I almost convinced myself that I would never see the light. But then I felt a gentle wind blowing through the room, a whisper that said, child, your turnaround is coming soon. I didn't see it with my eyes, but I felt it in my chest. Turnaround is here, I'm finally getting my rest. Turnaround is here, I can feel it in the air. The season is shifting, my story's being repaired. What was stagnant is now moving, what was dead is coming alive. Turnaround is here, I'm finally starting to thrive. I don't see it yet with my eyes, but my spirit knows the truth. Turnaround is here, and it's a new season, a new roof. The turnaround didn't come with trumpets or a marching band. It came quietly, gently, like a grain of sand that slowly turns into a pearl inside an oyster shell. It came in the middle of a season where I couldn't even tell that God was working, God was moving, God was shifting everything. He was turning my winter into spring, making my heart sing. I didn't have to fight for it, I just had to hold on. Turnaround is here, and I'm singing a new song. You don't know when it'll show, just hold on a little longer. Your turnaround is near. God is working in the background, He's already here. So lift your hand, lift your hands, lift your voice and sing. Turnaround is here. It's your season to be king. Turnaround is here. Watch me rise. Turnaround is here. No more compromise. Turnaround is here. I'm stepping in. Turnaround is here. sad song, trying to stay strong. Every morning looked the same, gray skies, no change in sight. I almost convinced myself that I would never see the light. But then I felt a gentle wind blowing through the room, a whisper that said, "Child, your turnaround is coming soon." I didn't see it with my eyes, but I felt it in my chest. Turnaround is here, I'm finally getting my rest. Turnaround is here, I can feel it in the air. The season is shifting, my story is being repaired. What was stagnant is now moving, what was dead is coming alive. Turnaround is here, I'm finally starting to thrive. I don't see it with my eyes, but my spirit knows the truth. Turnaround is here, and it's a new season, a new roof. The turnaround didn't come with trumpets or a marching band. It came quietly, gently, like a grain of sand that slowly turns into a pearl inside an oyster shell. It came in the middle of a season where I couldn't even tell. God was working, God was moving, God was shifting everything. He was turning my winter into spring, making my heart sing. I didn't have to fight for it, I just had to hold on. Turnaround is here, and I'm singing a new song. So if you're in the valley, if you're feeling stuck and low, if you've been waiting for a change but you don't know when it'll show, just hold on a little longer. Your turnaround is near. God is working in the background, He's already here. So lift your head, lift your hands, lift your voice and sing. Turnaround is here, it's your season to be king. Turnaround is here, watch me rise, watch me rise, watch me rise. Turnaround is here, no more compromise. I'm stepping in. Turnaround is here, let the new begin. Yeah. Oh. I used to cry over the things that happened to me in the past. The pain, the loss, the betrayal, I thought they would always last. I'd replay the scenes in my head like a movie on repeat, wondering how God could let me suffer such a deep defeat. But then I opened up my Bible to the story of a man named Joseph, who was sold by his own brothers and left with nothing but a promise. And years later he looked back and said, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." What the enemy meant for evil, God turned it like only He could. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning it around. Every scar is becoming a testimony, every loss is becoming found. The pit that was meant to bury me became launching pad. What the enemy meant for evil is the best thing I've ever had. So I'm not gonna cry over the past anymore. betrayal, every lie, every hand that pushed me down, every time I felt invisible in a room full of a crowd. Every closed door, every no, every disappointment and delay was just God setting me up for a brighter, better day. I couldn't see it in the moment, I was too deep in the pain. But now I look back and I realize that every loss was a gain. Because the God who resurrects the dead is the God who restores the years. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning my tears. So I thank Him for the valleys, I thank Him for the pits, I thank Him for the moments when I thought I was going to quit. Cause every single one of them was a chapter in my story of how God takes the enemy's plans and turns them into glory. So watch me stand on the other side of what was meant to break me. What the enemy meant for evil, look at what God made me. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned it for good. What the enemy meant for evil, I finally understood. What the enemy meant for evil is my testimony now. What the enemy meant for evil, I'm taking my vow. I used to cry over the things that happened to me in the past. The pain, the loss, the betrayal, I thought they would always last. I'd replay the scenes in my head like a movie on repeat, wondering how God could let me suffer such a deep defeat. But then I opened up my Bible to the story of a man named Joseph, who was sold by his own brothers and left with nothing but a promise. And years later he looked back and said, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned it like only He could. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning it around. Every scar is becoming a testimony. Every loss is becoming found. The pit that was meant to bury me became a launching pad. What the enemy meant for evil is the best thing I've ever had. So I'm not gonna cry over the past anymore tonight. What the enemy meant for evil, God is making it right. Every betrayal, every lie, every hand that pushed me down, every time I felt invisible in a room full of a crowd, every closed door, every no, every disappointment and delay was just God setting me up for a brighter, better day. I couldn't see it in the moment, I was too deep in the pain. But now I look back and I realize that every loss was a gain. Because the God who resurrects the dead is the God who restores the years. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning my tears. So I thank Him for the valleys, I thank Him for the pits, I thank Him for the moments when I thought I was going to quit. Because every single one of them was a chapter in my story of how God takes the enemy's plans and turns them into glory. So watch me stand on the other side of what was meant to break me. What the enemy meant for evil, look at what God made that somebody else wrote for me. A narrative of failure, of pain, of impossibility. Every chapter told me I was never gonna win. The ending looked the same, disappointment from within. But then the author of our stories picked up his pen and said, "Child, this isn't your ending, you've been reading it wrong in your head." He started writing something different, something I couldn't see. He's flipping the script, and he's doing it for me. He's flipping the script. The ending just got changed. What the enemy wrote as tragedy is being rearranged. The plot twist is his mercy, the surprise is his grace. He's flipping the script. I'm finally winning my race. No more victim, no more failure, no more stuck in the same old scene. He's flipping the script, and I'm living a brand new dream. The enemy thought he had me typecast as the one who always loses. He wrote me lines of shame and guilt, the one who never chooses victory or breakthrough or any kind of win. But God erased every single lie and started to begin a new chapter in my story, where I come out on top, where every closed door opens and every broken lock starts to turn, and every bridge that burned gets rebuilt again. He's flipping the script, and I'm dancing in the rain. So I'm not gonna read the old pages anymore tonight. I'm closing that book forever. I'm stepping into the light. The author of my faith has written a new plot. He's flipping the script, and I like it a lot. So watch me walk into my future with my head held high. He's flipping the script, and I don't have to ask why. He's flipping the script. Watch and see. He's flipping the script. He set me free. He's flipping the script. I'm not the same. He's flipping the script. I'll never be the same again. I was living in a story that somebody else wrote for me. A narrative of failure, of pain, of impossibility. Every chapter told me I was never gonna win. The ending looked the same, disappointment from within. But then the author of our stories picked up his pen and said, "Child, this isn't your ending. You've been reading it wrong in your head." He started writing something different, something I couldn't see. He's flipping the script, and he's doing it for me. He's flipping the script. The ending just got changed. What the enemy wrote as tragedy is being rearranged. The plot twist is his mercy, the surprise is his grace. He's flipping the script. I'm finally winning my race. No more victim, no more failure, no more stuck in the same old scene. He's flipping the script, and I'm living a brand new dream. The enemy thought he had me typecast as the one who always loses. He wrote me lines of shame and guilt, the one who never chooses victory or breakthrough or any kind of win. But God erased every single lie and started to begin a new chapter in my story, where I come out on top, where every closed door opens and every broken lock starts to turn, and every bridge that burned gets rebuilt again. He's flipping the script, and I'm dancing in the rain. So I'm not gonna read the old pages anymore tonight. I'm closing that book forever. I'm stepping into the light. The author of my faith has written a new plot. He's flipping the script, and I like it a lot. So watch me walk into my future with my head held high. He's flipping the script, and I don't have to ask why. He's flipping the script. Watch and see. He's flipping the script. He's setting me free. He's flipping the script. I'm not the same. He's flipping the script. I'll never be the same again. I used to be ashamed of the mess I made of my own life. The bad decisions, the wrong turns, the times I chose the knife that cut me deeper than I knew, the wounds I couldn't hide. I thought my mess disqualified me from ever being on God's side. But then He whispered to my spirit as I cried on the floor, child, your mess is not your ending, it's the beginning of something more. He said, I don't waste anything. Every tear, every scar, every fall is going to become part of your message to help others stand tall. From mess to message, God is turning my pain into praise. Every wrong turn, every failure, He's using it to light the way. What I thought would bury me is becoming my platform. From mess to message, I'm finally stepping into my norm. Not perfect, but purposeful, not clean, but called. From mess to message, I'm standing after every fall. I used to hide my past like a secret I could never tell, afraid that if people knew the truth, they'd wish me back in hell. But then I realized that my testimony's not in being perfect, it's in being honest about the God who came to resurrect it. He took my broken pieces and made a beautiful mosaic. He took my deepest shame and made it something so iconic. Now I'm not afraid to tell the world what He has done for me. From mess to message, look at what my God has made me. So if you're sitting in your mess right now, thinking you're too far gone, if you think your mistakes are permanent and you can't move on, just know that the same God who turned my mess into a message is the same God who's sitting with you in your wreckage. He doesn't waste a single tear, a single wrong turn, a single cry. From mess to message, watch your testimony fly. From mess to message, that's my story now. From mess to message, I'm taking my vow. From mess to message, watch me stand and speak. From mess to message, I'm finally not weak. I used to be ashamed of the mess I made of my own life. The bad decisions, the wrong turns, the times I chose the knife. They cut me deeper than I knew, the wounds I couldn't hide. I thought my mess disqualified me from ever being on God's side. But then He whispered to my spirit as I cried up on the floor, child, your mess is not your ending, it's the beginning of something more. He said, I don't waste anything. Every tear, every scar, every fall is going to become part of your message to help others stand tall. From mess to message, God is turning my pain into praise. Every wrong turn, every failure, He's using it to light the way. What I thought would bury me is becoming my platform. From mess to message, I'm finally stepping into my norm. Not perfect, but purposeful, not clean, but called. From mess to message, I'm standing after every fall. I used to hide my past like a secret I could never tell. Afraid that if people knew the truth, they'd wish me back in hell. But then I realized that my testimony is not in being perfect, it's in being honest about the God who came to resurrect it. He took my broken pieces and made a beautiful mosaic. He took my deepest shame and made it something so iconic. Now I'm not afraid to tell the world what He has done for me. From mess to message, look at what my God has made me. So if you're sitting in your mess right now, thinking you're too far gone, if you think your mistakes are permanent and you can't move on, just know that the same God who turned my mess into a message is the same God who's sitting with you in your wreckage. He doesn't waste a single tear, a single wrong turn, a single cry. From mess to message, watch your testimony fly. From mess to message, that's my story now. Hey, mess to message, I'm taking my vow. Yeah, from mess to message, watch me stand and speak. From mess to message, I'm finally not weak.
For so long I felt like I was losing every single fight. I'd get a little hope and then the enemy would steal the light. I'd take one step forward and then 2 steps back again. The tables felt like they were fixed against me. That was back then. But I serve a God who flips the script, who changes the whole game. He takes the things the enemy meant for evil and turns them to my gain. I'm not gonna keep my head down anymore, I'm lifting up my eye. The tables are turning, I can see it in the skies. Tables are turning, what was down is coming up. What was empty is now filling. What was bitter is now sweet in my cup. The enemy thought he had me, thought I stayed down on the floor. But tables are turning, and I'm not staying down anymore. Every curse is becoming a blessing, every loss is becoming a gain. Tables are turning, and I'll never be the same. I remember when they counted me out, said I'd never make it through. They wrote my obituary before I was even through. But God looked at my story and said, this isn't how it ends. He took the pages the enemy wrote and started to amend. The verdict that was guilty got overturned by the blood. What was meant to bury me became the very mud that God used to build my testimony, my foundation, my rock. Tables are turning, and I'm walking through the light. Watch the tables turn before your very eyes. The same situation that brought tears is becoming a surprise. Of joy, of peace, of breakthrough, of everything I need. Tables are turning, I'm watching God take the lead. So I'll dance before the miracle, I'll praise before the shift. Tables are turning, and I'm catching the gift. Oh, oh, oh. tables are turning, and I'm making my vow. Yeah, yeah, For so long I felt like I was losing every single fight. I get a little hope and then the enemy was still the light. I take one step forward and then two steps back again. The tables felt like they were fixed against me. That was back then. But I serve a God who flips the script, who changes the whole game. He takes the things the enemy meant for evil and turns them to my gain. I'm not gonna keep my head down anymore. I'm lifting up my eyes. The tables are turning, I can see it in the skies. Yeah. Tables are turning, what was down is coming up. What was empty is now filling. What was bitter is now sweet in my cup. The enemy thought he had me, thought I'd stay down on the floor. But tables are turning, and I'm not staying down anymore. Every curse is becoming a blessing, every loss is becoming a gain. Tables are turning, and I'll never be the same. I remember when they counted me out, said I'd never make it through. They wrote my obituary before I was even through. But God looked at my story and said, this isn't how it ends. He took the pages the enemy wrote and started to amend. The verdict that was guilty got overturned by the blood. What was meant to bury me became the very mud that God used to build my testimony, my foundation, my rock. Tables are turned, and I'm walking through the light. Watch the tables turn before your very eyes. The same situation that brought tears is becoming a surprise. Of joy, of peace, of grace, of everything I need. Tables are turning, I'm watching God take the lead. So I'll dance before the miracle, I'll praise before the shift. Tables are turning, and I'm catching the gift. Ooh. Tables are turning, watching work it out. Tables are turning, I'm learning to shout. Tables are turning, in my favor right now. Tables are turning, and I'm making my vow. Tables are turning, and I'm catching the gift. I tried everything to change my situation on my own. I strategized, I planned, I fought, I cried, I groaned. Nothing worked, nothing shifted, nothing moved or gave way, until I stopped fighting and decided to praise. I lifted my hands in the middle of my midnight. I opened my mouth even though nothing felt right. And something broke in the atmosphere. Something shifted inside. The turnaround is in the worship. I no longer have to hide. The turnaround is in the worship. When I praise, things move. When I thank Him in the middle of a thing I cannot prove, the walls start shaking, the chains start breaking, the darkness starts to flee. The turnaround is in the worship. And it's happening for me. I don't have to understand it, I just have to lift my voice. The turnaround is in the worship. And I'm making my choice. Remember Paul and Silas in the prison late at night. Their backs were torn, their feet were chained, no end in sight. But at midnight they began to pray and sing a worship song. And suddenly the earth began to shake, and the chains came off strong. The prison doors flew open and their freedom was complete. The turnaround didn't come from fighting, it came from a praise beat. So I'm not gonna wait until my circumstances change. The turnaround is in the worship. I'll praise Him in my pain. So I'll worship in the wait and I'll sing in the storm. I'll praise Him in the middle of the place where I'm not born, because the God who inhabits the praises of His people is the God who turns my prison into a cathedral. So watch me lift my hands in the middle of my mess. The turnaround is in the worship, and I'm finally blessed. The turnaround is in the worship. Oh, watch me praise. The turnaround is in the worship. Through all my days, the turnaround is in the worship. I'm not afraid. The turnaround is in the worship. My foundation is I tried everything to change my situation on my own. I strategized, I planned, I fought, I cried, I groaned. Nothing worked, nothing shifted, nothing moved or gave way, until I stopped fighting and decided to praise. I lifted my hands in the middle of my midnight. I opened my mouth even though nothing felt right. And something broke in the atmosphere, something shifted inside. The turnaround is in the worship. I no longer have to hide. The turnaround is in the worship. When I praise, things move. When I thank Him in the middle of the thing I cannot prove, the walls start shaking, the chains start breaking, the darkness starts to flee. The turnaround is in the worship, and it's happening for me. I don't have to understand
Their backs were torn, their feet were chained, no end in sight. But at midnight they began to pray and sing a worship song. Suddenly the earth began to shake and the chains came off strong. The prison doors flew open and the freedom was complete. The turnaround didn't come from fighting, it came from a praise beat. So I'm not gonna wait until my circumstances change. The turnaround is in the worship. I'll praise him in my pain. So I worship in the waiting, I'll sing in the storm. I praise him in the middle of the place where I'm not warm. Because the God who inhabits the praises of his people is the God who turns my prison into a cathedral. So watch me lift my hands in the middle of my mess. The turnaround is in the worship, and I'm finally blessed. The turnaround is in the worship. Watch me praise. The turnaround is in the worship. Through all my days, the turnaround is in the worship. I'm not afraid. The turnaround is in the worship. My foundation is laid.
I used to mourn the time I lost to bad decisions and to fear. The years that flew right by me that I can never get back here. I'd look in the mirror and see a stranger looking back at me. A person who had lost so much time, so much identity. But then I opened up my Bible to the book of Job and read, I will restore the years that the locusts have eaten. He said, the swarming locust, the crawling locust, the consuming locust too. He's restoring the years and he's making everything new. He's restoring the years. Nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. Every tear, every failure, every battle, every cause. He takes the time the enemy stole and gives it back with interest. He's restoring the years, and I'm finally feeling blessed. Not just surviving, but thriving. Not just living, but alive. He's restoring the years. I'm finally starting to thrive. I thought I missed my window, thought I was too late to start. I thought the dreams I buried had a permanent dead heart. But God said, child, I'm the God of the resurrection. Nothing stays dead. I breathe life into dry bones and dreams inside your head. So I stopped counting the years I lost and started trusting his clock. He's not bound by time or calendars. He's a restoring rock. He gave me back my youth, my joy, my purpose, and my soul. He's restoring the years, and I'm finally moving on. So if you think you lost too much time, think you're too far gone. bad decisions and the fear. The years that flew right by me that I can never get back here. I'd look in the mirror and see a stranger looking back at me. A person who had lost so much time, so much identity. But then I opened up my Bible to the book of Joel and read, I will restore the years that the locusts have eaten, he said. The swarming locust, the crawling locust, the consuming locust too. He's restoring the years, and he's making everything new. He's restoring the years. Nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. Every tear, every failure, every battle, every cost. He takes the time the enemy stole and gives it back with interest. He's restoring the years, and I'm finally feeling blessed. Not just surviving but thriving, not just living but alive. He's restoring the years, I'm finally starting to thrive. I thought I missed my window, thought I was too late to start. I thought the dreams I buried had a permanent dead heart. But God said, child, I'm the God of the resurrection. Nothing stays dead. I breathe life into dry bones and dreams inside your head. So I stopped counting the years I lost and started trusting his clock. He's not bound by time or calendars, he's a restoring rock. He gave me back my youth, my joy, my purpose, and my song. He's restoring the years, and I'm finally moving on. So if you think you lost too much time, think you're too far gone, think the enemy has stolen too much for you to move on, just know that the God of restoration is standing at your door. He's restoring the years, and he's giving you back more than you lost, more than you dreamed, more than you could ask. He's restoring the years, and he's removing every mask. He's restoring the years, watch me run. Ooh, he's restoring the years, my new season has begun. He's restoring the years, nothing is gone for good. He's restoring the years, just like he said he would. Yeah. I've been through the fire, I've been through the flood, I've been through the moments where I thought I'd lose my blood. The pressure was so heavy, I thought I would break. Every step forward felt like a mistake. But God was in the fire with me, God was in the flood. He was in the moments when I thought I'd lose my blood. He didn't take me out of the fire, he walked me through the flame. And I'm coming out better, I'll never be the same. I'm coming out better, not bitter but blessed, not broken but building. I'm passing every test. What was meant to destroy me became my foundation stone. I'm coming out better, I'm never ever alone. The fire didn't burn me, it purified my gold. I'm coming out better. Watch my story unfold. I used to pray for God to take me out of every heart
hard place. But now I understand that he was growing my faith. In the pressure, in the waiting, in the silence, in the pain, he was making me more like him. Water into wine again. I'm not the same person who walked into that fire. I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm climbing higher and higher. The enemy thought he'd see me come out in defeat, but I'm coming out better. I landed on my feet. So I thank him for the fire, I thank him for the heat, I thank him for the pressure that pushed me off my seat. Because every trial, every test, every tear, every fall was just preparing me for the greater call. So watch me walk out of the flames with my head held high. I'm coming out better, and I'm not asking why. I'm coming out better, watch me shine. I'm coming out better, I'm leaving the old behind. I'm coming out better, not by my strength, but his. I'm coming out better, and that's just how it is, eh? I've been through the flood. I've been through the moments where I thought I'd lose my blood. The pressure was so heavy, I thought I would break. Every step forward felt like a mistake. But God was in the fire with me. God was in the flood. He was in the moments when I thought I'd lose my blood. He didn't take me out of the fire. He walked me through the flame, and I'm coming out better. I'll never be the same. I'm coming out better. Not bitter, but blessed. Not broken, but building. I'm passing every test. What was meant to destroy me became my foundation stone. Oh, I'm coming out better. I'm never, ever alone. The fire didn't burn me, it purified my gold. I'm coming out better. Watch my story unfold. I used to pray for God to take me out of every hard place, but now I understand that he was growing my faith. In the pressure, in the waiting, in the silence, in the pain, he was making me more like in water into wine again. I'm not the same person who walked into that fire. I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm climbing higher and higher. The enemy thought he'd see me come out in defeat, but I'm coming out better. I landed on my feet. So I thank him for the fire, I thank him for the heat, I thank him for the pressure that pushed me off my seat. Because every trial, every test, every tear, every fall was just preparing me for the greater cause. So watch me walk out of the flames with my head held high. I'm coming out better, and I'm not asking why. I'm coming out better. Woo! Watch me shine. I'm coming out better. Woo! I'm leaving the old behind. Oh, I'm coming out better. Not by my strength, but his. I'm coming out better. Woo! And that's just how it is. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be standing here today, I wouldn't have believed you. I would've looked the other way. I was too deep in the darkness, too stuck in the pain, too convinced that nothing in my life would ever change again. But God had other plans for me, plans I couldn't see. He was writing a redemption story specifically for me. And now I'm standing on the other side of everything I feared. Look what the Lord has done. My breakthrough has appeared. Look what the Lord has done. He turned my life around. What was lost has now been found. What was buried is unbound. I was down, but now I'm up. I was bound, but now I'm free. Look what the Lord has done. He did it all for me. Not by my power, not by my might, but by His Spirit alone. Look what the Lord has done. I'm finally in my zone. I wanna tell everybody who's still waiting for their turn, who's still in the fight, still in the flood, still with so much to learn. Don't give up, don't give in, don't stop believing for 1 second, cause the God who turned it around for me is the same God who will beckon your breakthrough, your healing, your restoration, your peace. He's the God of the turnaround. He'll give you your release. So look in my life and see the evidence of His grace. Look what the Lord has done, and He'll do it for you in your place. So I'm shouting from the rooftops, I'm telling everyone I meet that the God who turned things around for me is so incredibly sweet. He took my mess and made my message, took my pain and made my praise. Look what the Lord has done. I'm dancing in His rays. So watch me lift my hands and watch me testify. Look what the Lord has done. I'll never ever hide. Look what the Lord has done. Watch me sing. Look what the Lord has done. He's my everything. Yeah. Look what the Lord has done. I'll never be the same. Look what the Lord has done. Glory to His name.
If you had told me a year ago that I'd be standing here today, I wouldn't have believed you. I would've looked the other way. I was too deep in the darkness, too stuck in the pain, too convinced that nothing in my life would ever change again. But God had other plans for me, plans I couldn't see. He was writing a redemption story specifically for me. And now I'm standing on the other side of everything I feared. Look what the Lord has done. My breakthrough has appeared. Look what the Lord has done. He turned my life around. What was lost has now been found. What was buried is unbound. I was down, but now I'm up. I was bound, but now I'm free. Look what the Lord has done. He did it all for me. Not by my power, not by my might, but by His Spirit alone. Look what the Lord has done. I'm finally in my zone. I wanna tell everybody who's still waiting for their turn, who's still waiting for their turn, who's still in the fire, still in the flood, still with so much to learn. Don't give up, don't give in, don't stop believing for 1 second, because the God who turned it around for me is the same God who will beckon your breakthrough, your healing, your restoration, your peace. He's the God of the turnaround. He'll give you your release. So look at my life and see the evidence of His grace. Look what the Lord has done. the God who turns things around for me is so incredibly sweet. He took my mess and made my message, took my pain and made my praise. Look what the Lord has done. I'm dancing in his race. So watch me lift my hands and watch me testify. Look what the Lord has done. I'll never, ever hide. Look what the Lord has done. Watch me sing. Look what the Lord has done. He's my everything. Look what the Lord has done. I'll never be the same. Look what the Lord has done. Glory to his name.